Hello, everybody. Welcome to this weekend. Well, let me say, what a week it has been. It's great to be back. I already see some great comments popping into the chat already. So, hey, guys, flood the chat with as much as you can. And here's the thing. We have a legitimate Starbucks story this week. So throw those hashtag Starbucks whenever you can. Let's see if we can invoke that ad bot to come back. That would be kind of funny. We'll see if we can. I don't know. That could have been a one-time fluke thing. Who knows? I don't know. It may not even have been a Starbucks bot. It could have been one of you guys having some fun. I honestly don't know. And I don't care. We're going to see if we can do it anyway. That's going to be fun. All right. So, wow, it's Sunday. We got a lot of stuff. Obviously, we're going to talk a little bit about the budget. We had that dropping this week, so that's always a good thing. And you know when the budget drops, because basically, we're going to be spending more money. That's what it basically means. So we're going to talk about the budget. We're going to talk about some of the ramifications of that. We're going to talk about Starbucks. We got other stories. We got all of that. And of course, we got you guys. We got your questions. We got your comments. We got all of that. We're going to have some fun. This is going to be great. I'm looking forward to today. Before we jump into anything, though, I will, of course, point out over on Blossom, that is where you can meet up with a whole bunch of different, YouTubers, not just YouTubers, but finance folk. So you got your financial YouTubers there. You've got all kinds of regular folks, just like y'all. And oh, did I just say y'all? But hey, well, stick with it. Yeah, we got that going over there. I'm definitely loving it. They just did a recent thing over there as well, where they had uh, basically created a bit of a public offering just to get people to come in and invest in it. They had a goal of $500,000 to raise. They blew that away in a day, so they offered another 500,000. They blew that away in the second day. So as far as I know, that's all closed now. But that's just really, really cool. There's so much hype over there. So definitely, if you have not checked out Blossom yet, do that not right away, but do that after the stream. There is a link down below. Be sure when you get over there to follow me because I want to follow you back, comment on your stuff, all of that fun stuff. All right. Before this chat gets absolutely lost, I'm gonna get caught up before we hit the first news story. Jonathan, am I late? No, you're not late. You're early. You're always early. Prairie says, good afternoon, everyone. And Jonathan says the Bears have gone to the dark side. Yeah. So basically, I was trying to think where the budget's big story. I was like, okay, well, let's put Christia Freeland in there, and well, people aren't happy with this budget. It's kind of a bearish budget, so let's have Darth Bear there. So I threw this hooded bear as her advisor. So anyway, that was just kind of me having a little bit of fun. Nine is in the house with some banana bread. Hello, Nine. Good to see you. We got Mary. Mary's in the house. Hello, Mary. Hello, Enid, with a God afternoon, everyone. I think she meant good, but that's fine. Bismarcky says good afternoon, all. Actually, going back to this, in Halifax, there was this store. It was called the Newfoundland store, and I was walking by it once with a friend, and we looked at the sign on the front, and it said they misspelt it. I think they were going for fresh frozen cod for $1.49 a pound or something, but they had fresh frozen God, $1.49 a pound. Hilarious. Bismarcky with a good afternoon, and we got our Starbucks. There's our Starbucks hashtag. Another Starbucks hashtag. There we go. Starbucks for life. Come on, Starbucks. Listen to us. Vic is saying today he has parked his vehicle. This is good. I know that you're safe. I like that. Paul's in the house with a hello. We got King of Day with a double hello. Up Paul by one. Enid says, I'm so ashamed of our leaders' budget, guys. Yes, we're going to talk about that budget. We're going to break down the budget. It hasn't been a great budget, but I mean, be honest. When is the last time we had a budget that we've been excited for? When is the last time? Let me know if you had a budget that you actually were excited for. I can't remember the last time, to be honest. Vic says, deficit so bad. Next up, tax capital gains 100%. Oh, gosh. That scares me. I always looked at capital gains as something I had hoped governments would just leave alone. So we're definitely gonna talk about that. We are going to talk about a whole lot. Ian says, yeah, Vic, that's right. Exactly. Ian says, I'm here, but I'm waiting to give my brother a ride home. Probably going to catch this on the replay. No problem. No problem. Yeah, you definitely want to give your brother a ride. Yeah. You'd probably, I don't know how far away his home is. So I was going to say, oh, just make him walk. No, don't do that. Vic says, capital gains inclusion used to be much higher, then dropped to 50% and rising again. Yes, I know. I was happy. I thought the 50% was a fair place. I thought it was a fair, half for you, half for me type thing. So, government. Let's go back. Let's go back, folks. Let's go back. Enid says, entrepreneurs should avoid business in Canada. Well, Canada's not the cheapest country to do business in, that's for sure. Vic says, Lithium Americas Corp. LAC crashed huge. Yeah, there's lithium right now. It's one of these things that when EV is doing really good and there's a huge demand for lithium, it does really well. But right now, EV is on a little bit of a not a good place. We'll just say that for now. Amanda's in the house with a hola to you as well. John Locke's back. Hey all. Hello, John. Vic says, anyone remember capital gains at much higher inclusion rates? There we go. I'm sure a few people do. G Mark says, hey all, the stock market's going down this week as sure as the Leafs will lose. Ooh, I don't know. We'll have to see. What happens. You could be right. Alan says, good afternoon. And we got Terry in the house with a hi crew. All right, there we go. My mouse was sticking for a second. Paul says, tech got, I assume that's a got. Tech got wiped out on Friday. Super microcomputer down 23%. Yeah, tech has definitely taken a little bit of a hit. It's actually really interesting. I mean, Canada finished the week two days in the green, where the U.S. did not. The U.S. stayed in the red all week. Yeah, pretty interesting. Now Vic says the world ends at midnight by 12:30 in Newfoundland. There we go. Hopefully not. Starbucks. Vic says Trump stock lost 3.5 billion. That's hilarious. That is absolutely hilarious. Vic said, interest on deficit would pay for healthcare. Yes. Yes, the interest on our Canadian deficit it's bigger than the transfer payments that the government makes for healthcare. Absolutely. Yeah, it's huge. There's no way around it. G Mark says, next step from the Liberal budget, all amounts in the TFSA are now taxed. Well, you never know. Hopefully not. The Liberals are moving into the position where they got to look at it this way. Like, okay, we've got roughly a year and maybe a few months before the next election. And it's funny. I think Trudeau he's almost delusional enough that he thinks he might have a chance, that he might still be able to win people back. I hope he's not. But they may be trying to save a little bit of grace. And maybe it's not even about trying to win, because the polls certainly show them being a million miles away from that. But maybe it's like, hey, we want to at least maintain official party status. We don't want to be beaten that bad. But it could happen. Paul says, Stephen Harper had better budgets. Time to reduce government employees. Okay, fair enough. Prairie says, G Marks, don't jest. Vic said, hi, Rye, loved LAC. Yeah. No, I definitely remember that being one of those companies he definitely loved a good amount. But keep in mind, when you love a company, doesn't mean you love them forever, because things change. The situations change. Demand changes. And with that, sometimes your love has to change too. So sometimes you have to say, I want a divorce, LAC. I want a divorce. But I mean, keep in mind too, and this is the thing about lithium. So lithium, it's a high demand when it comes to the batteries for EV, but there are newer technologies that are being worked on that could cut lithium out of the game. So I see lithium as something that even when EV batteries come back in demand, if that changeover starts happening and we start using some other chemicals instead of, well, other elements instead of lithium, um, you may want to be careful. You may want to watch lithium. That's what I'll say. Watch lithium. Abalash says, LAC seems to fluctuate quite a bit. It also spiked quickly last month and is back down again. Yeah, it does that. So lithium, like right now, I think, and when I mentioned that there's some other batteries being worked on, they're probably not going to be hitting the market like, this year or even next year, probably, 2 to 3 years type thing. But you always want to be paying attention. That's why watching the news is important, because knowing what innovations are coming down the road can sometimes give you the legs up. So if you had no idea that there were new batteries coming out that could replace lithium, you might go all in. Whereas if you know these things are coming and they're coming down, then you're going to play lithium a bit differently. So it's just one of those things where knowing what the environment is doing, knowing the headwinds can make a huge difference. Vic says, Harper looks like a genius compared to a drama teacher. 9 says, hope the Liberals don't go after the TFSA next. Yeah. That would be, the thing is though, and here's the thing, when you think about your TFSA, there's a lot of people that don't use it. So I think in that sense, it's not going to be something I think that they could see as a big cash cow. Now, going after capital gains the way they did, they were aiming, sure, they did aim their gun at higher corporations, but they really didn't think through what the ramifications would be. They were like, oh yeah, well, we do it this way and we are taxing corporations and we're taxing the rich. Perfect. We'll make them pay for everything. But, it's not that simple. There are ramifications. There are collateral damage to things like that. So that's kind of where I don't think they really thought through completely. Paul says, which is safer, tech stocks or Bitcoin, especially long term? Well, that's a really good question. I will say tech stocks, and and I love Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin's here to stay, but technology is here to stay 1,000,000,000%. You could have a situation happen where, let's say all the world governments got together and decided we're banning Bitcoin. That's not going to happen with tech, and that probably won't happen with Bitcoin. It's almost like saying, which would you prefer? Would you like to only be able to eat food or only be able to drink water? But you can't do both. It's in that kind of situation. I think Bitcoin is strong. I think it's going to be here for a long time. Same thing with tech. Tech is going to be here. I mean, tech is going to keep revolutionizing the world. I mean, tech is one of these things that we're on a parabolic improvement of tech. So what that means is that if you look at the speed that technology is increasing now, 10 years from now, it's not going to be 10 times as fast as it is now. It'll probably be like 100 times as fast as it is right now. And that's the same thing. Go back in time 10 years. And technology was not increasing as fast as it's increasing right now. And if you think things like AI and how fast that all happened, if you think that is amazing and that blew your mind, it's going to get better. It is going to get better, faster, and it's going to blow your mind even more. I mean, let's say 20 years from now, if you could look in on your life, you have like a personal robot in your house, and these are a lot of the things that they promised in the Jetsons, except for flying cars. Those are never coming, folks. That you're going to have a lot of those things. So it's going to be really, 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 the world's going to be really different. So definitely. That's going to be kind of cool. Vic says, will Prime Minister Polyev increase TFSA limit? Hope so. Hard to say. Hard to say, because right now the way it is set up is that the TFSA, you're supposed to gain an equal amount of contribution room to inflation. So that's kind of where those extra limits that come in January. So, whether it's 6,000, 65, but you never know. It's hard to say. Now, Polyev is very pro investing. So that could be a plus, but I don't know. I don't know if they will do it. Let's see here. G Mark says libs reduced at TFSA was 10K 1 year. Yeah, it was. It was at one point 10K. I remember. No, it would be nice. Like, I would love to see that contribution room increase. But here's the thing. At least there's no cap to how big you can grow it. So if you make the right investments inside your TFSA, you can absolutely blow it up, which is fantastic. So Vic says Trudeau couldn't even keep his spouse, so let alone his seat. Oh, and G Marks is right. Savage, but kind of funny. King of Day. I am a true liberal at heart, but I don't like the current situation. So a change is definitely needed. All right, fair enough. And now politically, I try to be as central as I can, but I do lean a little to the right. But I have in the past, I have voted for every party. And usually it just goes down to what they're asking. Now, I think in 1 year, I think the one time I did vote for the NDP, it was more of a strategic vote. It was more or less I was voting for the NDP, more or less to split the vote a little bit. But it's fun. It's fun. Good Vibes is in the house with a hello. Vic says, I predict an increase in mandatory withdrawal from RRSP, RRIF, thus eroding tax deferral benefit. I don't know if they do that. I don't think they would, because here's the thing. If you start shooting, I don't want to say shooting seniors, but if you start messing with retirement stuff that could impact seniors, what that could end up doing is it could actually, if they're withdrawing it faster, it could get into a situation where they start to run out before they run out. So the RRSP runs out before they run out, if you understand what I'm saying. What that could then do is that could then put pressure on government supports, things like that. So I don't see them doing that. I don't. Bismarcky says time to DCA into LAC. Well, if they're down, they're probably going to go back up again. So that's not that bad of an idea. John says, how low do you all think Tesla can go? Big recall on the Cybertruck for faulty accelerator pedal. I know. I'll tell you, here's the thing with Tesla. Every time I think they're as low as they can go, they find a way to get lower. So, and I always keep saying that Tesla is this company that always keeps bouncing back, but I'll tell you, sometimes it's hard to believe that. Sometimes it really, really is. Tesla, you need a bull run of some kind soon, or people will keep losing faith. Bleak is in the house with a hey. Abalash says, I don't think the Liberals had a choice but to increase tax for revenue. However, they failed with corruption scandals, lack of investments to improve competition, affordability when interest was low. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Liberals, I don't even want to say the Liberals. I'm just going to say the current government, because it could, any government could do it. But yeah, there's been a big mismanagement. A lot of money has not been used efficiently. So, and I do give fairness. You know, I know that a lot of conservatives don't. A lot of conservatives try to blame everything on the Liberals. It's not entirely their fault. The pandemic certainly did not help. The pandemic did create a lot of the issues that the government kind of got sucked into, but they could have handled them better. That's where I kind of draw that line and saying, like, come on, you could have definitely done it better. So, come on, guys, let's govern with a little bit more brain power. Vic says 20 years of Trudeau, junior and senior is enough. Yes, I hear you. Yeah, I don't think. I mean, this is his fine. Here's his swan song. Maybe 20 years from now, one of Trudeau's kids might be like the third Trudeau. But for now, I think this is it. We're in his swan song. I think he'll quietly sort of disappear into wherever it is ex-prime ministers go. Paul says, is there a bug flying around in your background? Was on the bookshelf side. I don't know, but maybe there is. That's funny. That would be funny. Could there be a housefly? I don't know. If one of the cats sees it, though, that housefly's in trouble. Vic says, Paul, you've been drinking Uncle Jeremiah's mashed liquor. Oh, dear. And here, Wayne Smith is coming in. In 1990, the capital gains tax was at 75%. Oh, there we go. There we go. So Wayne remembers, Vic. Wayne remembers. SNL reference. Vineet's in the house. Hello, Vineet. Good to see you. Vic says, India takes 6 weeks to have their election. Oh, that's a pretty long election. Let's see. Canada cheering for the Bruins. Okay. Well, maybe. I don't know. I'm personally not a Boston Bruin fan. I'd really, really, really like to see the cup finally return to Canada. There's maybe one team of the Canadian teams I don't want to win the cup, but I'll leave that for you guys to guess. King of Day started reading Bitcoin white paper today. Pretty interesting so far. Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing. Sometimes, especially any new crypto, if you really want to understand what that coin is trying to do, read the white paper. And of course, Bitcoin has a white paper as well, and it is a good read. Lisa's in the house. Good afternoon, everyone. Paul says, when did Pierre Poilievre say, invest in Bitcoin to beat inflation? The difference now? Well, here's the thing. You'll notice that the liberals are no longer bringing up his support of crypto. They were for a while when Bitcoin was down, but right now they're not bringing that up. And I'm actually surprised that the conservatives aren't bringing that up, just to sort of point out that, hey, you remember that crypto thing, that Bitcoin thing? So we'll have to see. Bismarck, he says, Sophie Trudeau for prime minister. Oh, there we go. She's probably had enough of politics, though. I have a feeling. Vic says, I'm conservative fiscally, but liberal in many other parts, like gender affirmation, etc. There you go. 9 says, they want you to die with a big RRIF. Yeah, they do. Absolutely. If you guys have watched that video I did on the RRSP meltdown, they love it when you've got a lot still in your RIF or your RRSP if you die a bit younger, because they get to tax you at the marginal rate unless you have a living spouse. If you have a living spouse, it'll roll over into them. But if you don't, if you're single or if your spouse has already passed, oh, they love it. They get a lot of money from that. So there's another reason they probably don't want to force you to take it out faster. Very good point, 9. Very good point. Vic says, I'm buying Tesla at $50 to $75. Yeah, there you go. At this rate, it seems like that's coming. Hopefully not right away. Lisa says, I come from a liberal family. My grandfather was a liberal MPP in the 70s and 80s. The party has changed since then. They are now a bunch of woke virtue singallers. Okay, that's an interesting word. Yeah, I mean, and everybody, I mean, all of the parties have changed. Like you even take the Conservative Party. The Conservative Party has changed quite a bit as well. So that's kind of fun. Oh, I just jump ahead here. Jill's mentioning there's a cat toy that's hanging by the window. So maybe that's what you saw moving. Not so much a bug. It might be that cat toy. And let's see. Ambas says, appreciate how you explain complicated investments. SVOL ETF US has 16% yield in my RRSP account. Is 15% withholding tax avoided? Thanks. Okay, let me see here. What are you saying? All right, so SVOL ETF has a 16% yield in my account. Is 15% withholding tax avoided? All right, depends on where you're holding it. So if you're holding it, okay, you said in your RRSP. In your RRSP, yes, that withholding tax does not happen. So with that RRSP, you would get the entire dividend for that. If you held it, for example, in your TFSA, you would still lose that withholding tax, and you can't get it back. So, but in your RRSP, yeah, you're fine. You are absolutely fine. G Mark says Canada never getting the cup. Well, we'll have to see. We'll have to see. I mean, right now it seems that way. It's been, I think, the last time a Canadian team won the cup. Was it like 1998 Montreal? Maybe. I'm just sort of pulling that out of my head. Somebody verify that for me, because I don't know. Let's see. G Mark says I'm going in on Tesla at 100. Oh, there you go. And no, it wouldn't be 1998. I'm thinking even maybe I'm pretty sure Montreal was maybe the last team to win the cup, and I'm trying to think maybe 93. I mean, it's been a long time, so we'll have to find out. Somebody will look this up. Let's see here. Lisa says my grandfather is probably rolling over in his grave over the state of our current Liberal government. Oh, yikes! That's yeah. I can understand that. Let's see. Candace, why are you hating the Canada Senators? That's not the team. That's not the team. There's only one Canadian team that I kind of, and it's funny. I don't know why. I just don't like them. It's a funny thing, but we'll find out. When somebody mentions it, I will say why. G Marks. I'm going to retire early and collapse my RRSP to 0 by 65. Let's go. You're going to do that meltdown nice and fast. Here we go. Paul says, $47,099.09 USD, March 28th, 2022. Polyev said, invest in Bitcoin, peaked lately at 73K USD and around 65K today. Yeah, there we go. That's not a bad return on investment. Keep in mind, yesterday we had the halving. The halving has happened. It has happened. So we'll talk a little bit about that later as well. Once we eventually get to the news. We will get to the news eventually, folks. I promise. But in the meantime, we do have a Starbucks story in the news. This is my fancy Starbucks cup, so I'm going to have a good sip of coffee. Love this cup. That's good. I don't think we have the Starbucks bot back yet, but we'll keep trying. Throw in your Starbucks, folks, when you get a chance. G Marks says, I think he means signalers. Okay. All right. Fair enough. Yeah, there we go. Sorry, signalers. Paul says, there is no spell check in YouTube. It sure would help spell CPC leader's name. Yeah, we need that. Vic is saying, anyone using Moomoo? No, but I will say this. Moomoo reached out to me and wanted me to sort of promote them through affiliate links, and I decided not to. I decided against Moomoo, but well, I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm going to leave it at that. G Mark says, I suck at spelling. It's not so much like I'm good at spelling, but when I'm chatting sometimes, I start typing so fast and I hit enter before I even have a chance to look to realize there's a typo. So sometimes one finger may accidentally hit a button just before, or a key just before the second finger. So it almost looks like I'm dyslexic when I do that. But no, it's just one finger getting a little bit too fast. So it was 1993 and Montreal, right? I'm pretty sure it was Montreal. I think it was actually I think it was the Patrick Waugh team, if I remember correctly. G Mark says most NHLers don't even want to play in Canada. Yeah, there we go. Yes, so there we go. Montreal, 1993. The last time the Leafs had a decent team. Quebec City for expansion, never. Yeah, they had one. They had a team there. But I know they want one back, but I don't think that'll happen. G Mark says, even Canadian players don't want to play in Canada. Vic says, Jets are Canada's team. I'd love to see the Jets win. That would be kind of cool. G Mark says, Rangers all day. Let's go. Vic says, so if you save and invest well in your RRSP, you're punished by OAS clawback. Well, it depends on how you do it, but you could be. Well, keep in mind, for the OAS clawback, you need a good amount of income. So if that RRSP is your only source of income, you're probably not going to hit clawback levels. So it really, really, really depends. Enid says, I plan to deplete my RRSP by 65 as well. And there we go. Seabass says, do you know why a 1.25x leveraged ETF would go down on days where their underlying goes up? So BNKL, same as HCAL and CANL, do that. Is it because of a weird structure? Sometimes it can be. Also, keep in mind where they're using leverage and they're using covered calls. Sometimes they may be predicting, they may be sort of shorting the market and all of a sudden it goes up. So that can happen if it's basically they wrote some bad calls. So that can be, I'm going to guess that's probably why. But other than that, it could be a lot of different factors, anything from just, anything. If they didn't have covered calls involved and their underlying asset went up, they would go up. So it's definitely probably those covered calls that are doing it. Gmark says RRSP to $0 by 65, so no clawbacks. Save the TFSA for last. There we go. Yeah, well, your TFSA, that's the one that you technically never have to pull it out. Because you could set it up in retirement. You could set up that TFSA as just a pure income producing machine, tax-free income, and then leave it to somebody, because that's the one that, you don't get hit with a lot of taxes when you pass it on to someone. So you actually, that one's not that bad. So the government, the RRSP, horrible because of the way they tax it when you pass. Vic says, as a non-smoker, I may live to greater than 100. So will me. There you go. There you go. So glad to see that you kept with that, Vic. That's fantastic. You've made it. I think you've made it. Bismarcky says Toronto is the beat sports team in Canada. 2 World Series, 2 NBA championships, MLS Cup. What other Canadian cities can say that? Well, yeah, you could say that. I mean, they have. Toronto is a good sports city. Yeah, I think that I'm trying to word this without offending, because a lot of people hate Toronto just because Toronto is Toronto. But no, I love all cities. Like, Toronto is the one team that I don't want. It's not that I don't want to see them win a cup. I kind of would love, in a way, if Toronto were to actually win the Stanley Cup. Finally, people could stop complaining about how long it's been since they won the cup. But I just think there's other countries, other teams, other cities that I'd like to see win it. Like even Vancouver. Vancouver has had some good teams that should have won the cup, but they kind of just really, really sort of, I don't know what you want to say. They kind of just drop the ball when it comes to the playoffs. Sort of the same thing as what Toronto does. But Winnipeg, I think, would be a good team to win. I'd love to see Winnipeg win it. I wouldn't even mind to see Edmonton win it. Just sort of having them come back from, their old glory days. I think that would be kind of a neat thing. So yeah, we'll have to see. Vic says, how much was Woo Woo willing to pay? So many Canadian influencers pushing it. Yeah, well, the reason they're pushing it is that if they can switch everybody over from Wealthsimple to Moomoo, all those people using their affiliate links, they're making some money. Like, I'll take the Wealthsimple. I don't know what the actual price was because I wasn't even willing to go that far with them. So with Wealthsimple, when you sign up using an affiliate link right now, the current deal is $25 for you, $25 for for me, if it's my affiliate link. So we both get $25. Now, let's just say if I decided to say, okay, well, let's switch to Moomoo. And if Moomoo was offering the same thing, and I got on here and I just sort of started slightly making Wealthsimple not seem as good as they are, and really talking up Moomoo, and then throwing that Moomoo affiliate link at you guys, then you guys all move over. And let's say 100 of you move over. That's $2,500 in my pocket if I were to do that. So it's kind of that thing. I've never tried Moomoo. I don't know Moomoo. And the fact that all of the contact information they gave me is all through WhatsApp, I don't like that either. So I don't know. Moomoo just doesn't feel like something I want to get behind. Because, and I've told you guys many, many times that when I start promoting stuff to you guys, I'm going to promote stuff that I think actually adds value to you. I'm not going to promote something just to make money off you guys. Nope, never. That's not what I'm going to do. So, I don't know. For me, it's just integrity. Integrity is really important. So anyway, Mary comes in. Hit the like button, people. Yeah, just slam on that like button. Get it a nice blue. That'll be great. Yeah, just hit the button. Now your turn. There we go. If Vic can hit the like button, everybody else can. Let's do it. Let's just do it. We'll get it all going. G Mark says no one cares about MLS. Go to Europe for soccer or football over there. Amanda says go Oilers. Alberta girl here. Starbucks. There we go. G Mark says Oilers is my Canadian team. Seabass says follow up. BNKL and CANL don't have covered calls. Just 1.25 leveraged. Okay, interesting. So I'll have to look. I'll have to look a little bit closer at those Seabass. I haven't really paid a lot of attention to leveraged some of these leveraged funds, but that'll be interesting to see. I gotta look. I gotta look at those because I could have swore that they did. So all right. But maybe I am wrong. I'm okay with that. Let's see. Bismarcky says World Cup coming to Vancouver and Toronto. That would suggest lots of people care about soccer. There's probably, I mean, soccer has a fan base for sure, but I think they're just not going to be as big as like, well, hockey. Hockey pretty much dominates Canadians. I think, most of us are born knowing what offside means, and it's kind of funny. Seabass says, Zeb HCal goes up on a day, but BNKL goes down. Okay, so there has to be something going on with that. I'll have to look. I'll have to look at that, Seabass. I'm not sure what it is. Enid says, just hit the like button. And Vic says, TD remaining low might be time to buy for a long-term hold. Been loading up on TD. There we go. TFSA can be given to successor, not just beneficiary. Yeah, so I mean, anyway, I actually did a video on all of that. So yeah, I mean, there's still the TFSA, you have a lot more options that you can do when you pass, which is nice. Enid says, Vic, I don't know about TD. It keeps on disappointing. Yeah, we the North, go Raptors, Boston Oilers. Okay, sure, why not? G Marks, I just want the Bruins to sweep the Leafs so all the fans can shut up. Oh dear. Oh dear. I probably should have had the bull and the moose. The bull and the moose. The bull and the bear playing hockey to symbolize the playoffs. Lazar, I think that's a new name. I don't remember seeing you before, Lazar. Welcome to the channel. Canadian pipelines should be up and running anytime soon. Nice, nice. Paul said, got my tax refund on Saturday. Helped to pay for a new stove and fridge. It is that fridge I am still waiting for delivery of a GE profile fridge, hopefully in May. Nice, nice. I remember some of the pictures that you shared on Discord. Bismarcky says, I'll never shut up. Fair enough. Vic says, can public buy on to Trans Mountain Pipeline, our own Enbridge? There we go. There we go. Not sure how that works there, Vic. Let's see. Don't poo-poo moo-moo. Okay. Or boo-boo. There. No, I mean, here's the thing. I'm just saying that to me, it wasn't something I was willing to jump behind. I don't know. I don't know a lot about Moo. I'm totally being honest about that. So that alone, the fact that I don't know a lot about them, and I do know a lot about Wealthsimple, I still feel better about Wealthsimple at this point in time. Now, maybe if I went in, played with Mubu for a while, maybe I'd be like, this is great. But for now, it's not the right pick. Paul says 53 viewers. Yay. Yeah, there we go. And unfortunately, 53 viewers, and not one of them is a Starbucks bot. So what's going on? You guys just haven't been hashtagging Starbucks enough. That's all it is. Oh, this is good. We still have news to get to as well, folks. This is funny. Lazar says, I have some Canadian oil and gas that should benefit. What's your thoughts on what pros this could bring? Could it close the differential gap? Thoughts on gas through it? I mean, I have a lot of thoughts on gas, oil and gas, and some of the pipelines. So, first of all, I think the pipelines are huge. Some of the extensions onto the Trans-Canada is going to allow us to export a lot of fuel, a lot of oil and gas over to Asia. And there's a huge demand over there. So one of the things I think, and I know right now, a lot of the processing when it comes to oil and gas, we're not doing it here. There's a lot of processing points in the US, like stations, plants, I guess is a better word for it. We need to start doing that. I know we have, I think it's an LNG one that is in the works, but we really should be doing a lot more, and we should really be encouraging that sector because the oil and gas sector is a huge part of our GDP. It's very important to Canada. Luckily, once we get a change in government, I know Poilievre is a lot more pro oil and gas, so that will certainly help that sector quite a bit. So yeah, the more of these pipelines that open up, I think the better. And I think that is going to definitely improve things. So definitely a good thing. All right. Vic says, Paul, that new fridge ought to last your solid 2 years. King of Day, I have the Moomoo app. I think it's good for research, but I probably will not use it for investing. Okay, fair enough. And there's nothing wrong with that. If you find an app that you don't want to use for investing, but it has some really good tools on it that you can use for research, jump on it, jump all over it. Let's see. Toronto will be wild during the World Cup. So many amazing immigrants in Toronto who own their little communities here. Okay, that'll be cool. Yeah, that would be kind of neat. Let's see. Vic says, Moomoo Canada sucks. Low fee, not no fee, and WTS is Canadian. Yeah, absolutely. Well, Wealthsimple, their predominant holder, of course, is Power Corporation of Canada. So something to keep in mind. Rochester 3 says, should I cash out my RRSP before retirement when in lower income tax brackets? So yeah, and I did a video on the RRSP meltdown. So one thing it does make sense to do is when you are having, before you retire, if you have some years where you're not making a lot, those are definitely good years to start pulling some of that cash out of your RRSP. A big thing when going into retirement, like your overall goal going into retirement is hopefully you've got your TFSA maxed. That one there trumps kind of everything because you can generate and create a whole bunch of stuff that's not going to impact anything. It's not going to impact your OAS. Or if you've got a GIS, it's not going to impact that as well. So it's one of those neat things. So the way I looked at it is if I had a pretty big RRSP and I had a couple of low years and my TFSA had lots of room, I would be thinking about moving some of that out, claiming that income, moving it into my TFSA, even taking a small tax hit if I had to. That's how I would do it though. But one of those things too, as I always say, you can always talk to like a financial planner just to get a general idea, because they can look at all of your personal data more than I can just from a question. From a question, I can give you a generality. But when it comes down to the nuts and bolts, you may benefit from a financial, like a retirement planner, for example. All right. Prairie says, let's see, my financial institute has Q-Trade, went with Wealthsimple, but not because of finfluencers. Wouldn't change no matter how much Moomoo is pushed. Good. Very good. I like to hear that, Prairie. That's a thing. Finfluencers, we'll talk a tiny bit here. They can be very, very persuasive. They have all their flashy bells and they're on YouTube. And sometimes it's like, you're watching them all the time. It's like, oh my God, I trust what they say. Well, yeah, you can't trust what they say. You can listen to what they say. You can take that information, but you still have to do everything from your own due diligence. You also have to sort of look at the fact that, always question something, So for example, when I mention Blossom, when I talk about my little link down for Blossom, sure, you know what? If you use that link, I do get a kickback from it. But in a case like Blossom, it doesn't cost you anything, right? You go over, you're looking at it. If you hate it, you just, you delete the app, you never use it again. It doesn't cost you a thing, but I did make, I did make a tiny bit of money. When you, I think I make like $10 when somebody downloads the app. So I make a tiny bit of money. So that's cool. Or maybe it's $5. I don't know. I don't really pay a lot of attention to that. But when it comes to something like an affiliate link, so for example, like I mentioned, like the Wealthsimple link, if you click on my Wealthsimple affiliate link, I get $25, you get $25. But once again, that's still a situation where, you could, if you hated Wealthsimple, you could leave. That's not a big issue, but you always have to do that. So if I am up here and you know that I'm getting paid for you to go to an app, just always note that. It's not to say that I'm telling that if I say it's a good app, it's not to say it's not a good app, but you always want to know what monetary amount that finfluencer is getting, because, that's kind of what happens. Like when you start to look, you go to the real negative side, and this doesn't happen a lot in Canada. I've seen it happen in the States where you'll get a finfluencer who has, like, say, 1 million people subscribe to them, and they'll come out and they'll start to say all this great stuff about some obscure stock. And everybody's like, oh my God, that's the next best thing. I got to buy it. Well, what they don't know is that that person has already bought a whole bunch of shares in it. And then when all of their followers buy a whole bunch, it drives the price up. And then they go and buy, and the whole thing, they sell, everything crashes. All their followers get kind of screwed when that happens. Don't worry. I don't think you're going to find that in Canada. I think Canadians are way above that level wise. I would hate to think. Now I could be wrong. It may happen, but always be careful. Always sort of look, always think, like, what is that person getting out of it? Because it makes sense. Sometimes knowing somebody's motivation gives you that legs up on whether or not you can trust what they're throwing at you or what they're saying. Abalash says, my portfolio is all rate-sensitive stocks with high dividends right now, average dividend at 7.8%. My hope is for them to only going up from now, along with collecting the dividend. Oh, not too bad, not too bad. Vic says, I'm living in, the National Bank Direct Brokerage. Oh, you're loving it. Yeah, I do love that. That, to me, is absolutely cool. And that says, thanks with my bank exposure. You're welcome. There we go. There's our Starbucks. Mumu is Chinese. Yes, they are. All right. Now here, this is cool. If you are a channel member, you get a free super chat every single month. So, Paul's using his with a banana bread here. So you do have it. And here's the thing. When we get bigger, like right now, I think right now we've got 44 people here. We were up in the 50s for a bit. But when we get to a point where we have, like, let's say 200 people have one of these chats, it's going to be hard for me to read everything. So these will count the same as super chats, because those always take precedence. So if a super chat pops up, it's getting read 100% answered. No questions about it. Same as these. To me, these are the exact same. So use them. You get one of these free a month. Be sure to use them. Absolutely. All right. Vic says Starbucks, $85 USD. Gmark says, anyone use CDRs for US stocks to avoid the currency hassles? CDRs are definitely a good thing, especially long-term. Like, they don't have as much volume, but if you're only looking at long-term investments, I think there's nothing wrong with CDRs. And Vic says, I own a lot of CDRs. There we go. Fun and easy to buy with Wealthsimple. I use CDRs in a taxable account to keep it easy. Yeah, absolutely. Nothing wrong with keeping it easy. Vic says, I like to buy a share here and there. There we go. Amanda says, love Starbucks. Tried the spicy strawberry refresher yesterday. It was good, but we'll stick to my macchiatos. Awesome. That's funny. Spicy strawberry refresher. Sometimes with Starbucks, I find that listen, if you're ever in line at Starbucks and you hear all of the orders, it's like, holy cow. Sometimes there's like 6 or 7 things. I'm like, how do they remember all of that? Prairie says, I've never understood Canada exporting our resources for processing, only to import them back processed for so much more. Exactly. Let's start doing our own processing, folks. Let's do it. Gmarks, I have 10K in Starbucks CDRs. Let's go. Let's go Starbucks. All right. I love it. I love it. Paul says about a month ago, our current fridge, 2005, actually died. Costco had a Medea 14.2 cubic feet fridge for $429. This is now our backup fridge after the new one arrives. Nice. Nice. Amvas says, I reviewed BK and intend to start my new Wealthsimple account. I started with your affiliation link. Oh, thank you very much. Hope you received your $25. Thoughts if I should drip and hold long term until banks reach the top? Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I think banks are going to eventually, it's going to take them a while to get back to where they were, but I think they're a safe bet. And BK, one of the things I like about BK, now BK is a split core. They were managed well. They never cut their dividend or anything during the bad times. So got to love BK. Blossom did have Pro 1 year on sale a while ago. Yes, absolutely. Now I do have Pro. I like it. I do like it. All right. And Vic says, go to bank, get advice, then do the opposite, and you should be fine. There we go. There we go. Paul said, Wealthsimple, if you received a reward like $500 for porting in 100K plus, you have to stay for 1 year or they take that $500 back as a fee. There we go. So yeah, that's always. Now they don't do that on your simple signups, like like if you get the $25, for example. All right, and we have a super. Is it a super sticker? No, it's a super chat. It's a super chat from good old Paul. Once again, money coming out of the Google Opinions. Google Opinions. Love it, love it. So they pay Paul, and Paul just plays around in here. So I appreciate that. Thank you very much, Paul. That $1 is going into the 0 to 100K challenge. And all right, after this comment, we're going to hit the news. We're going to finally hit the news. Seabass says, holy banana bread. Had to say it. Awesome, 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 awesome. All right. I see your question, Harold. You'll be the first person I get to right after our first news story. Wow. I think this is the latest we've gone into a show before actually getting to a story. All right, our first story, the budget. How can it not be the budget? It's like, here we go again. Here we go again. I'm going to feel this in my pocketbook. The country's going deeper in debt. What can we do? Here we are. All right, so so let's just go over quickly the highlights of this budget. A lot of these highlights we've already touched on in past episodes, because a lot of this stuff actually leaked or was intentionally leaked before it came out. So on the housing affordability and construction, so they're increasing the capital cost allowance rate for apartments from 4 to 10%, extending mortgage amortization period to 30 years for those first-time home buyers, but only if they're purchasing a brand new house. Wow, is that ever going to put a premium on brand new houses? They're also looking to make public lands available for home construction. Then, in terms of their tax changes and fairness measures, there's a 10% tax credit for the cost of buildings used for key parts of the electric vehicle supply chain. So that'll be over the next 10 years. So yeah, it's too bad that the EV is struggling right now, but there's also going to be a 15% tax credit over the same period for eligible investments in new equipment or refurbishments for clean electricity. So this is them pushing that a little bit further. The inclusion rate for capital gains. This is the big one. So this is capital gains that are realized on or after June 25th of this year. It's increasing to 2/3 for corporations and trusts and to 2/3 for individuals of the portion of capital gains in the year that exceed $250,000. Here's the thing. You take some companies. The one that pops out in my mind is like Brookfield Asset Management. They manage other companies, right? They are buying, they are shifting, they're incurring capital gains. Some more of that money is being taken away. So that could impact some of your investments. This could also be one of these things that makes companies go, why set up in Canada when we can just go set up, in the US or some other country? So it's going to be interesting, I think. Anyway, and you guys have already kind of hit the comments on this one. Not a fan of this one. I'm not really a fan. I think it's going to take a little bit of time to see all the knockdown effects on this. And then we'll have to see once we get a change of government, will they put it back? Will they put it back? That'll be a big question. Okay, deficits and economic outlook. So the budget, they are expecting a deficit of, well, $40 billion for 2023-24. Nice. Another 40 billion in the hole. And they forecast another 39.8 billion the next year and 38.9 billion. There we go. For 2025-26. So basically, we're going to be going deeper and deeper in debt. That's sure not helping the Bank of Canada with that inflation number, that's for sure. Now, there were some health and social services stuff in the budget as well. So $500 million to help community health organizations provide more mental health care to young people. Okay, I'm okay with that one. $630 million fund to support Indigenous people's access to mental health services. Another one I'm okay with. I'm okay with health. Providing health is absolutely fantastic. Now, they also did touch on the National Pharmacare Plan. This is basically to keep the little coalition there alive. It's not really a coalition, but everybody calls it that in a sense. So the budget details part of their plan for a national pharmacare program, and that's expected to cost about $1.5 billion over 5 years. And this is one of these ones that, if it's done right, I'm okay with it, but it could be interesting. All right, now clean energy and technology investment. So they're providing further details on the clean energy investment tax credit. So a little bit about the design and implementation, but they haven't given us a lot on that yet. And as we mentioned last week as well, we got the defense and security. So $941.9 million over 4 years. And that's for the Department of National Defense to ensure that military infrastructure can support modern equipment and operations. Then there's also some innovation in AI sector support. So $149.9 million over 4 years, with $1.8 billion in future years to the Department of Defense to basically increase the number of civilian specialists in some of the priority areas. We also have affordable and accessible education as an area. So they're talking about increases to the home buyers plan, so HBP, to withdrawal limit. So that's basically pulling it from your RRSP. So basically from 35,000 up to 60,000. Basically, if the withdrawal has to be made after April 16th, so we're already there, so that's not important. But it has to be for a first-time home. So, if you've already had your first time home, forget it. You can't do it. Now, environmental and climate initiatives, the budget's including measures to address the climate crisis, including a focus on clean economy changes, such as details on the clean electricity investment tax credit, among others. So, there we go. This is our budget, our $40 billion in the hole budget. Nice. Hello, Starbucks. Oh, yes, folks, keep those Starbucks going. All right, so that's a budget. I think we've already kind of talked already a lot about it, so not a big thing, but still, it's not great. And Harold, I had promised that as soon as I read the budget stuff, I would get to you. Sitting on some cash in my RRSP, been looking at VOO, so that's your Vanguard. It's the U.S. version. Curious to see what happens this week. Maybe good time to get in. Yeah, maybe. We have to see. Like right now, everybody and their dog. Like I hear so much different information coming out in the U.S. I hear people saying, okay, there's going to be rate cuts in, towards the end of the year, maybe after the election. And then there's other people saying it's not going to happen now till 2025. So the market's kind of in flux there. So it's kind of interesting. I think that's one of the reasons that we've been looking at a green market here the last few days, and a red market in the U.S. So we'll have to see how this is all going to turn out. I'm not optimistic on the U.S. this week. And I'm thinking that, I'm kind of looking at a red market in the U.S. This week, and a pretty flat slightly to the green market in Canada. That's what I'm seeing. Sort of like the last 2 days, just continuing through next week. But we'll have to see. Hopefully, I'm wrong. I'd love to see the market turn around a little bit. Richard's in the house with a hello. Let's see. Prairie says the budget passing solely hangs on the NDP. PC and Bloc have both said they will not vote in favor of it. Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, here's the thing. I think the Liberals have thrown enough of a bone at the NDP that they're gonna support it. Enid, the new capital gains starts on June 25th this year or next year? This year. It is. I thought it was this year. I'll have to double check, but I swore it was this year. But Chad's saying it was 2025. So I'll have to double check. I will double check. For some reason in my notes, I wrote down this year. So I could have absolutely messed that up. Hopefully not, but you never know. Enid says, I'm looking for an ETF in the defense sector. Interesting. I'm trying to think. I'll have to look into that for you, Enid. I don't know one off the top of my head. And Chad says, bit late, but there be more wars. It's one of the constants, right? We always tend to have more wars. Right. Canadian inflation, that came out this week as well. So we had our CPI came out. So we had forecasted 2.7% in the year over year, and it actually came in at 2.8%. So a little bit hotter than expected. Even with the core was forecast at 1.8% and came in at 2% year over year. On the month over month, the forecast for the CPI was 0.3%, came in at 0.6%. On the core, the forecast was 0.2%. Actual came in at 0.5% in the month over month. So inflation, a little bit hotter. But here's the thing. We pretty much know that gas increased big time in that period. And a lot of the rise that we've seen in the CPI can absolutely be attributed to the cost of gasoline. Even with core, where gas is stripped out, the gas still impacts a lot of everything. And that kind of still boils in there a bit. So that's kind of one of them big things. Now, there is still one more CPI before the June meeting. So that there is May 21st. Now, here's the interesting thing. A lot of economists are not looking at this CPI and saying, uh-oh, there goes the June rate cut. It's not that way at all. So I still think I'm still on board for the June rate cut. And I kind of mentioned this last week. I said, what I'm thinking is that in June, we'll have a rate cut, and then we won't have any more probably till the fall. So it could be interesting. We'll have to see how it all works out, especially if the U.S. keeps getting really, really sticky. It might be a situation where we just have a token one, and then maybe we wait until the U.S. does. And if worst case scenario, the U.S. doesn't cut until the first quarter of 2025, that could be a long wait. But at least we would have that first little token one. So we'll have to see how long that keeps people happy. Probably not very long. Yeah, definitely not very long. Richard says, I went and bought XRP. Oh, nice. I know a few people who love XRP, so you're not alone. Bismarck, he says, I have a fair amount of money in cash ETF. I've been DCAing into VFV, ZQQ, and XEQT every day for the tune of $25 each day. Not bad at all. It would be actually kind of cool if you were to, after you've been doing this for a while, just sort of create a graph of where you're at and sort of see where it shows like that, like the line should be pretty much at a very fair value overall for each of these assets. So that's nice. I love it. That's a good DCA. Chad says, I could be wrong, but my accountant said to me 2025. Okay. I'll double check. I mean, it's always possibility that, well, one of us is wrong. I don't know which one. Well, hey, you guys, somebody pull up the budget on the and see when it shows. Let's find out who's right. I hope you're right, Chad. I hope you're right. I want to be wrong in this one. I do want to be wrong. Abalash says, which utilities would you recommend? CPX dividend of 6.8 versus CU 6.0 versus ENB 7.63. For me, it's not all about the dividends. Now, if you like to have a solid dividend, if you look at CU, so Canadian Utilities, they're a dividend king. So they have actually raised that dividend for more than 50 straight years. I think they're either at 51 or 52 years. So they're one of two. CU and Fortis are the only two dividend kings we have. So if you're looking for a company that will not cut their dividend and is going to continue to keep raising it, then CU would be my choice out of that group, because for them, even if things did get rough and it would make sense to cut their dividend, they don't want to lose that title. There's a lot of prestige around that title, so they would even take on extra debt to pay out that dividend in the bad times, just so they don't have to do that. So something to keep in mind. Let's see here. There we go. It was 2024. I was right. Darn it. I wanted Chad to be right. Oh dear. Hey, welcome, Kendall. Welcome. Mary says, what would you do if your mortgage is coming up? Yeah, here's the thing. If my mortgage was coming up this year, I would renew with the shortest possible term possible, because it's a thing. You could go variable. If you went with a variable rate, you are going down eventually. Or if you went with a fixed rate, fixed as short as possible, because when you renew it, you're going to have some much better rates. So that's kind of that thing you have to look at. Yeah, you have to sort of pay attention to the fact that the rates are coming down, but how fast are they coming down? All right. Enid says, pay down the mortgages fast. I wouldn't invest anything until mortgage is paid off. Let's see here. Seventh 7 orbit. Guess I'm shadow banned. Well, why would you be shadow banned? If you posted something that I didn't read, it probably means you might have put something in there that YouTube didn't like and they deleted it, because I didn't see. This is the first I've seen from you today, 7th. So you're not shadow banned, as far as I know, unless YouTube did it. But you're here now. Paul says, the capital gain thing was June 2024, and therefore not enough time for someone to sell their rental unit properties. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. But, there's going to be people trying, or at least, But yeah, you're not going to get through. Abalash says, do you think home prices will spike this year in Ontario if interest rates come down? I feel a lot of people still won't be able to afford, even if we cut the interest rates by 0.5%. Here's the thing. Even if rates come down, there's still a huge demand for housing. That demand all by itself is going to make houses kind of sticky. Like there probably will be some coming down, but at the same time, I don't think it's going to be as much as people think. I don't think it will be. Chad says, paid heavy this year in capital gains. I was trading in personal account. Oh gosh. Sold it all to sold it all. Don't want to pay 30% duck the government. Oh, I understand. We'll leave that. Vineet says, futures show fear. Yes. Here's the thing. Sometimes futures can get it completely wrong, though. A good example was, if you remember last weekend when Israel and Iran had, when Israel sent its retaliation, futures was pretty much, or sorry, that wasn't last week. That was when Iran did its thing. Futures made it look like the markets were going to crash a lot worse than they did. So sometimes futures does get it a little bit wrong, because, futures, it's people kind of guessing on where the markets are going. But when it comes to when we actually get there, there's new information. They can change. Sometimes futures can be wrong, but when the futures show fear, there's a lot of fear out there. I've seen it. It's there. So we'll have to sort of deal with that. We'll have to see. This could be an interesting week on the market for sure. Chad said, sold it all. Paul, chat filter to show all messages for 7th. Yeah, that's a question. I don't have access to it in StreamYard, but I'll have to look. I don't know what happened. Sorry, 7th. I don't know what happened. Same thing. Like when you leave a message on my, in YouTube, if I don't reply to you, it's not because I didn't want to. It's probably because you said something that YouTube didn't like, and YouTube took care of you. They do that. Sometimes they put you in a sort of like, not a timeout, but they put you in a little review comment section, so I can go in and I can say, "Oh, look." And most times when that happens, it's because you put in you were naming a stock and you put the .to, so YouTube thought you were giving a website, and it won't let you do that. So in cases like that, just don't put the .to. Honestly, just put space TO if you want to symbolize, because normally if you give me a stock thing, I'm going to assume it's, well, I usually will assume it is on the Toronto Stock Exchange until if I go in and look at it, I pull up some information and it doesn't show up, then I'll look at the US just as my next go-to, but you don't have to put the dot in there because that sometimes can have you disappear because there's nothing like I go out of my way to respond to everybody. Now on comments, now if you reply to my response, unless you're asking a question in that reply, I may just heart that. But your initial comment, I try my darndest to reply to everything. So always keep in mind if you don't hear anything, maybe you put something in there, or I think if you swear or things like that in your comment as well, that also can send it flying off. Country Auto Garage, my 0.0000357 BTC money locked in house equity is dead money. Uh-oh. Yikes. I'm not sure what you did there, but at least that's not a ton, but we're getting to a point that Satoshis are going to be worth a lot more too. Chad says, we're building 100 apartment units here in Saskatchewan in the spring to get the rebates. Always a way to one-up the CRA. There we go. Excuse me. Vineet says, I hope they get it wrong, the futures. Yeah, hopefully. Paul says, let's see, house prices will not be going down. Sometimes wonder to sell and take the remaining equity and rent, but then daughter doesn't inherit townhouse. All right, fair enough. Hello, Starbucks. There still is a Starbucks story, by the way. We're going to be getting to that. Vineet says, how much were you trading, Chad? There we go, 150K. And then sold a house. All right, caught up again. Let's get to our next story. Uh-oh. I am missing number 4. Just give me 2 seconds here. I'm just pulling it up as we go along. For some reason, it's done this to me a couple of times lately, so I don't know what's going on, but there we go. Boo-ba-doo-doo-doo. All right, there we go. Whoops. Let's try that again. It uploaded my picture as a logo. All right, here we go. Don't tell me the upload is taking too long. Oh, you got to love it. This is what's great about a live show, right? Anything can happen. All right, here we go. All right. There we go. French immigration. So Canada is looking to give French-speaking immigrants a leg up when it comes to express entry criteria. So for getting in on immigration. So since the latest update to the system, 19,700 potential immigrants have been invited to apply based on their French-speaking skills. So these language skills have now been weighted higher than the 5 in-demand fields. So before they changed this, before they updated it, basically if you were involved in STEM, healthcare, transport, trades, and agriculture, that would give you a leg up on the competition. Well, now, if you speak French, that is more important than all of the skills that we need the most. So their goal is to bolster French-speaking communities outside of Quebec. So it's kind of really interesting. So the share of bilingual non-Quebec residents has been falling. So between 2001 and 2021, it fell down by about 0.8%. So apparently not enough French people outside of Quebec. I don't know. I mean, it depends. Like, I know in Nova Scotia, where I'm originally from, I mean, we had the French shore, and there was a lot of people there that spoke Acadian French. And I know, I think when I lived in Calgary, there was in the south, there was a community area just inside the city that had a lot of French speakers, but they're trying to encourage that. Now, the downside, of course, as we can all see, is that you're basically saying, okay, well, we're going to pass up some really qualified immigrants over because these people can speak French. That concerns me a little bit, especially when we're in a situation where we have labor shortages in areas like nurses, doctors. I would hate to see a doctor get turned over because some guy just happens to speak French. So I don't know. It's kind of an interesting thing. I mean, I love Quebec. I love the distinctness of our two languages here, but at the same time, ideally, hopefully, now here's the situation. Now, if you had two doctors and they're both equally qualified, but one can speak French, sure, give it to that guy. But it's just one of these funny things. We live in a strange world, don't we? We live in a very strange world. Paul says, same thing with reverse mortgage, no further mortgage payments, but no inheritance. Yeah. Reverse mortgage is never that good, never that good. I know there's a whole bunch of controversy in the States about reverse mortgages. And I even think Tom Selleck was promoting them for a bit too. So, but I've heard that they're a bit on the scammy side. Chad says, money in the trades thinking to start a plumbing apprenticeship. They make more than a doctor. I tell you, it does not hurt to go in the trades nowadays. And yeah, here we go. Prairie's mentioning reverse mortgage is a scam. Paul says, plumbing trade is great. Cut all the drywall on a pipe repair, but someone else repairs and paints the drywall. There we go. Nice. Ian says, Wealthsimple set me up for stock lending in my TFSA. Maybe I did it by mistake. Got 1 cent, but I'm already maxed out. See what the CRA thinks about that. Wow, 1 penny. You are very rich, Ian. You have done well. You have done well. Holy cow. That's kind of funny. All right, let's move to an interesting story here. And some of you may have already heard this because I think it's one of those humorous stories. But Tim Hortons has gone into the pizza business. So in a move to take home a bigger slice of the fast food pie, Tim Hortons has introduced pizza to their menu. Woohoo! So the initial offerings, you can get like a cheese pizza, a pepperoni pizza. There's a bacon everything pizza and a chicken parmesan. Sounds good. Sounds good. So Tim's is basically hoping to give their food service a boost after the breakfast menu, which is one of their big, their bigger menus. They do really well with the breakfast. Last year, when they added wraps and bowls to their menu, they actually did receive a 7% increase in sales. So why are they going down the pizza route? Well, pizza is the most popular fast food in Canada. In fact, I mean, pizza, it's a $4 billion market. So they want a little bit of that. And where Tim's is the most popular food chain by market share, it kind of seems like it makes sense. So we'll have to see. Have any of you guys had pizza at Tim Hortons? I'm kind of curious. How was it? Was it good? Or is this kind of crazy? I mean, do you guys remember? McDonald's had pizza once. It didn't last long. I actually liked it. I liked the McDonald's pizza, but is this just a passing fad for Tim Hortons, or could this be a good thing for them? It's gonna be interesting to see. So we'll definitely have to see. All right, let's see here. Chad says, but how many trades you need? Have 3 already. All right. Concrete. All right. 9 says I wouldn't eat at Tim Hortons. Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. But you can order it, right? You can order it, bring it, get it home. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see. Paul says, now that Timmy's is doing pizza, will McDonald's bring back their McPizza from the 1990s? Exactly. The McDonald's pizza was good. It actually was good. Chad saying, pizza at Tim's. Yuck. Wow. Country Auto Garage is saying, an abomination. No, it's like, what are they going to do next? Put pineapples on it? Holy banana bread. Ian says, I went to trade school with a Filipino kid. Okay, well, hopefully you guys are good friends now. Lisa says, I live in the Windsor area. We have some of the best pizza in the world. Hell would freeze over before I get some from Tim Hortons or any fast food restaurant. Okay, there we go. I have a feeling, I have a feeling that not just you guys, but I have a feeling people may have strong opinions about their pizza. So maybe it won't work. We don't know. I will have to find out. Holy banana bread. Let's see here. Ian says, I went to school with a Philippines kid. Somebody asked him what a good Filipino restaurant was in Saskatoon. He said Tim Hortons. Oh no. Oh dear. Someone said pizza at Timmy's is like a frozen pizza from the store. Uh-oh. Tim's Pizza is made with 100% Canadian cardboard. Oh dear. And Country Auto Garage is from Windsor as well. So I think he's getting the pizza thing. Chad says best pizza is in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan rodeos. There we go. There we go. Ian's down the street from a Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan rodeo. No, I don't know. I'm sure he'll finish that. Oh wow, that's just funny. It's funny that they want to do this. Sometimes you say stick to your lane. Like I think Tim's is doing fine with all the things that they are doing, and I can't see me ordering, like, if I ever wanted a full pizza, I don't think I would order it from Tim Hortons. I don't think I would. Ian says, I'm down the street from rodeos. It's the best. Awesome. Rodeos, how it said. Rodeos. Okay. And pizza. Prairie likes pizza. There we go. Holy banana bread. All right, let's get to the next story. This is fantastic. All right. All right. So, once again. So the government is a little bit annoyed at the banks. Yeah, go figure. So this time it's all about the Carbon Canada rebate. So they have asked the banks to change the payment name to Carbon Rebate instead of Federal Payment or EFT Canada, which is what it shows up when you get a direct deposit from the Carbon Rebate. Some banks have said, sure, okay, we'll do it. We'll play ball, and they made the change. So TD and BMO, they made the change. Now, Bank of Nova Scotia, so Scotiabank and RBC said they'll have it done by the next cycle. This time, it's still the old thing. Now, CIBC, they came out and said, no, we're not doing it. We're just calling it Deposit Canada. And if you guys want us to change it, you better enact a law to make us change it. So CIBC is basically saying no. And I can see in the back of my head that meme of Trudeau crying. I don't know why. I can see that. So yeah, so the government is still fighting, at least with CIBC, to try to change the name. Now, the whole reason they say is that confusion. It's like people are like, I don't know what this is. The government gave me money. And I think what the government wants is, because of the unpopularity of the carbon tax, is they want people to see that they're getting the carbon rebate. And they want people to say, oh, look at this money the government gave me. Maybe the carbon tax is a good thing. So that's kind of, I think, where the government is coming in on this. So definitely interesting. Ian says, Chad, I live on Iroquois Street on the South Hill. Okay, South Hill. Ian says, I don't think the government should dictate the banks what to do. Yeah, I would agree. Chad says, has to be cooked the old-fashioned way. All right. Yeah, and no, going back to what Enid said, is that, yeah, it's like, ask them nicely. I'm okay with that. If they change, they change. If they don't, if CIBC just says, nope, not doing it, leave it alone. It's not, most of your customers will know that there's a carbon rebate, and you guys are always talking about it. So I'm sure people know what it is at this point in time. Ian says, Chad, are you in Moose Jaw? And Lisa saying hi to Country Auto Garage. There we go. All right. You guys have been waiting patiently for this. You guys have been saying, come on, where's the Starbucks story? When is it going to drop? Give us the Starbucks story. So here we go. Bang. All right. So Starbucks, they have redesigned their single-use plastic cups to reduce the amount of plastic they're using in these cups by 20%. So these new cups are rolling out this month right across North America, so both the US and Canada. It took them, now get this, it took them 4 years to redesign the cup to get rid of 20% of the plastic. Now, frappuccinos and other cold drinks, they do account for 75% of their well, at least the US beverage sales. So it's probably similar in Canada. And that's up about 37% since 2013. So they've been getting more and more popular, their cold drinks. Now, the company, they are estimating that these new cups are going to keep more than 13.5 million pounds of plastic out of the landfills each year. There we go. Starbucks. I'm impressed. Here, this is for you, Starbucks. In my Starbucks mug. Thank you. Thank you for taking a little bit of that plastic out of the landfill. Is it enough plastic to come out of the landfill? Maybe, maybe not. But I'm glad to see that you've done it. It's a step in the right direction. Woohoo! All right, back to chat. Chad, moved out MJ, bought an acreage. Paul says, city chicken. While the name may be misleading, this delicious meat on a stick isn't actually made with chicken. It's a beloved Polish comfort food consisting of cubes of juicy Ontario pork. Nice. Prairie says, I'm old school and insist government send me a physical check. There we go. There we go. Some people do that. It surprises me only because I'm so used to, I can't remember the last time I saw a physical check. So it's kind of funny. Ian says, just checked. I got $206 back. Anybody else get a refund? Chad got $5,500 personal. No, not bad. Paul got $42.11. Oh, you guys are playing the game right. You guys are playing the game perfect. And Chad got $906 carbon rebate. That's to Mo. Thanks to Mo. There we go. Holy banana bread. All right. Well, let's get to story number 8. All right. Bye, Starbucks. Got a carpenter. So the housing crisis has had significant challenges, of course, to deal with. The shortage of construction workers in Canada has hit a high. So we have a new vacancy high of 7.7%. Now, this labor shortage, basically, we're experiencing it really big time in British Columbia, New Brunswick, and Nova Scotia, where they are experiencing notable gaps in the workforce needed for building, well, projects. Now, part of the issues with, of course, the construction sector is that the duration of employment is really tied around the length of their contracts. So it does tend to be shorter compared to other industries, which is a bad thing, but it's also a good thing. It's nice to have time off between some of these things for some of the construction folks. But we're starting to see a situation where some companies are adopting labor hoarding strategies. So this is where they continue to pay you in between the projects, so that way you're still available when they need you again. So this way here, they don't have to get into the situation of having to hire and train new workers. So that's kind of a new thing that's starting to happen here. Now, one of the things, though, and this is where there's a sort of a red alarm going off. So we're looking at a 7.7% vacancy rate. Guess what's going to happen over the next decade? We're set to lose about 22% of residential construction workers who are set to retire. So the boomers are getting ready to leave the construction gig. That's not a good thing. So we're in a situation where we could be looking, if we don't really start ramping up people going to trade school, people, learning the trades, we're looking at a huge, huge shortage coming at us. And that's definitely not a good thing. So when you're looking at those immigration prospects, maybe somebody who can swing a hammer might they should get a little bit more of a preference than somebody who can converse freely in French. Or once again, if you're French and can swing a hammer, yay, double bonus. Oh dear. The fun, the fun. Back to the chat. Lisa says, City chicken is great. My family is European, so I have been eating it my whole life. And Enid, holy banana bread. Enid, can you do my taxes? Can you do my taxes? $14,310 refund. That's fantastic. Lisa says, I got $622 tax rebate, but I put a lot of it in my RRSP. Nice, nice. So basically using tax rebate to defer taxes. Nice. It's like you're really, really utilizing your money well. Paul says, holy cow, Enid. Yeah, exactly. I didn't say holy cow. I said holy banana bread, but still, that's just crazy. Let's see. But she married single guy, highest taxed. The city chicken thing was something I heard about when we visited Windsor, Ontario a few times to see relatives. See, now I want to go to Windsor just to try this city chicken thing. It sounds fantastic. Chad says, so 7,200 per for Enid. Ian says, when I said I got 206 back, I was talking about the carbon rebate, not income tax. Okay, fair enough, fair enough. Well, that's what I thought we were talking about initially was the carbon rebate. And then when the numbers got really big, I realized people moved into something else. They moved into their normal tax refunds. Let's see. We put 45,000 in hubby's RESP. All right. Whoa, that's a lot to drop in. Chad says brickstone don't burn. Wow. There we go. RRSP. Okay, perfect. I was looking at the RESP and I was thinking, is he going back to school? What's going on? Let's see. Lisa says, no, I had to contribute a lot to RRSP in order to get the rebate because you put a bunch into your RRSP. Fair enough. Fair enough. Tax deference. Nothing wrong with it. All right. Now, folks, time for the crypto corner. Crypto corner. We got stuff. We got stuff. The halving has happened. So yesterday we hit that magic block number where the rewards for miners who are mining Bitcoin have been cut in half. So what does that mean? Does that mean Bitcoin is going to go to the moon tomorrow? No, not at all. What it does mean is that initially, and this kind of the way it has happened in the past is whenever we hit the halving, normally Bitcoin retraces a little bit. But then we start to get some of the bigger movements after that. Usually it can take up to a month to, probably I'd say a month. I think in this case, probably a month, but you never know. We got so much going in. And right now we're in such a point where there's going to be such a Bitcoin shortage on exchanges and everything else. So it could be a little different this time. It could ramp up a little bit faster. If anything, right now might be your last, over the next month might be your last chance to DCA into Bitcoin before, we reach new highs, some very new highs. And who knows, even after we hit those highs, we'll probably get another retracement, but we may never get back down to this point again. So it's one of those things you gotta, do your DCA or do your due diligence before you DCA. But it's going to be very, very interesting. Now, we'll leave Bitcoin for a second. We've had our first ever conviction for a hack of a smart contract, and that happened last week. So the hacker was jailed for stealing over $12 million from crypto exchanges. So basically, when you're thinking about NFTs and also with some coins as well, a smart contract is simply a program that only lets people execute certain transactions based on whatever the terms are of the contract. So the hacker that we're talking about, the funny thing is, he was actually caught last year stealing $9 million from the DEX exchange. But as part of a plea deal, they got released, and then they went on to this new scam. And they're going to jail for that. They are going to jail. I don't know how long they're going to jail, but I don't think they'll get a plea deal this time. So just to put things into perspective, 1.7 billion was stolen as a result of crypto hacks in 2023. And that's actually, believe it or not, that sounds bad, but it's a $2 billion drop from the all-time record of 2022, which was $3.7 billion in hacks. So things are looking up. Things are looking up, at least if the hacks are getting lower. Let's hope that trend continues. So coming up this week on the Canada calendar, we got our PPI coming out on the 22nd, which is weird because we had our CPI this week. Normally, CPI, PPI are usually a day within a day, but this time, Monday, we'll get to see the PPI, and that'll let us sort of see what's going on with the wholesalers in terms of inflation. We're also going to get on Wednesday, the 24th, we're going to get some retail sales figures that come out, which will give us a general idea of the strength of our retail. And I'm not expecting those to be too great. Now, down in the US, on a Thursday, we got Q1 GDP coming out on Thursday on the 25th. And on the 26th, we have the PCE. So that's your personal customer expenditures, which basically it's one of these values that the Fed really likes to look at when they're gauging inflation and how things are going to turn out. So we have to take a look at that and see how that's going. Now, earnings wise, holy banana bread, we got a few good ones. The railroads will be reporting their earnings this week. So CNCP. So Waste Connections, so WCN, Synovus is coming out, Imperial Oil. We also got Rogers dropping their earnings call this week. Oh gosh, I don't think that's going to be very good. TFI International and Metro are also dropping their earnings. There's a lot of companies dropping earnings. Those are just some of the top ones. So it could be, we're starting to get into the earnings season. It's going to be interesting. I can't wait for the next set of bank earnings, and I'll do that. I'll do another bank video too when we do that. So that's going to be kind of cool. All right. That's the news. The news is done. Ha ha ha. All right. First of all, let's get rid of this. We'll all talk and all that fun stuff. All right. Here we go. Let's get rid of that. And come on, mouse, work. The mouse had a wire under it. There we go. Let's go back to full screen. All right. You and I, it's you and us. We're all here. All right. Lisa says I put 12,000 in the RRSP. That's to get that rebate. Nice, nice. Paul says BC Climate Action Tax Credit got a whole $27 on April 5th. Holy banana bread. That's not very much. Chad, but if you're retiring, why do RRSP? Just going to get taxed in the back end? Fair enough. Fair enough. Because we have been talking, of course, about the RRSP meltdown. Oh, here's a funny thing. Guys, remember that video I've talked about? I keep talking about it. So the one viral video I've had on the channel is that it's an OAS video. It finally broke 20K. So it has 20,000 views. Nothing else has come close to that. But I'm like, this is fantastic. This is great. Now I just have to pray and hope to get another one up to 20,000. But we'll see. That one just blows my mind. That blows my mind. I just can't get over the success of that one video. Chad says, 12 out of 18 months, BTC hit the moon. Asian markets for ETFs non-April 30th. On April 30th. Okay. There we go. So that would be, I assume, the Hong Kong ones that were approved. So that's going to be interesting. That's going to be more drain on the supply of Bitcoin. Vic says they caught the gold thieves of Toronto Airport. Yes, they did. That is absolutely interesting. Some of the airport inside jobs, some of the airport workers were involved in that. Paul says breaking, Bitcoiners launch a Swiss national referendum to oblige the Swiss National Bank to put Bitcoin on its balance sheet. Nice. Nice. We'll have to see if the Swiss Bitcoiners pull that off. Now we have the Canadian Bitcoiners here. They have a channel. Definitely an interesting channel. I like their channel. Chad says new bank, first digital bank owned by Buffett Warren. How things change since Munger not here. All right. Enid says, Chad, hubby still working and puts money in spousal RRSP for me so I can slowly take 16 per year tax-free. Nice, nice. Paul says, funny how the criminals in the gold theft are all... let's see here. Brampton crime is all by ... Okay, I don't know what you're saying, Paul, but maybe. Let's see. I'm waiting. So David says, I'm waiting on my tax return money to reinvest, I hope. Nice, nice. Hopefully it comes soon. Chad says, me too. Always max out my RRSP. Won't be CPP left when I retire. Okay, well, hopefully they don't mess that up, but you never know. Vic says, some of us still looking for a spouse. Yes, anybody looking for if you're looking for a Vic, we got a Vic here who's ready, and nice guy, and likes to drive, and he's quit smoking. So just putting that out there. Let me know. I'll hook you up with him. Chad says, Russia mail order Vic. There we go. Well, I don't know if Vic would be Russian, but 9 says, my tax return going to the TFSA. Smart move. Like that move. Yeah. Vic says CPP will last. They just increased CPP contribution rate to 5.99% of your paycheck. Nice. Now, if only though that CPP fund had invested in Bitcoin back in the pandemic, at the beginning of the pandemic, holy banana bread, CPP would be looking nice and flush right now. Chad says, need my shelter. Vic, 20 years in May, so much better. David says, Starbucks, thoughts on for retirement dividend? Yeah. It's interesting. Like when it comes to retirement and dividends, it's at one point where I'm like, it really boils down to how you want to sort of focus that TFSA. So, because that TFSA is a great tool. So you've got a couple of options. One, you can just, if you want a hands-off experience, you can just pack your TFSA with your passive income stocks, create that income. So it just comes in every month. You pull it out and live off of it tax-free. The other option as well is you can also, if you want to be a little more hands-on, you can do a total return TFSA as well. But once again, it is a little more hands-on. So this way here, you're living off of, you got your dividends coming out, but you're also got a significant amount of growth. And then what you're looking at is if your total growth, let's say, for example, you're growing $10,000 a year. We'll just say if you're growing $10,000 a year, you could take part of that 10,000 too. And you're still growing your TFSA. So it's kind of just the way you peel off, and that way because the goal is you really don't want that TFSA to run out, because if you're going to, first of all, you want an heir. So you want a successor of some sort for your TFSA, because, you don't want the government getting it. But here's the thing. If you're going to empty an account, obviously your RRSP, because of the way the taxes get affected on it. But with the TFSA, you don't know, like you could say, okay, well, you know what? A lot of people have died pretty young. I don't think I'll make it to 80. You could say that. And then when you're at 100, you'll be like, I guess I really misjudged that, didn't I? Because you also have to keep in mind, even though right now you can look and say, okay, my grandparents died at, in their 70s. Well, healthcare's gotten better since then. And we're expecting, especially with AI, being a major tool in research, things are going to continue to get better. Lifespans are going to get longer. So, you may think, I may not make it to 80, but you could be very wrong. That's just one of those things. And that's why it's nice if you have that TFSA all set up. You can really milk that for a long time. So it's kind of a nice thing. Enid says, Vic, I would love to, but I'm taken. Yeah. Vic. Let's see. David SCHD. Oh, okay. Maybe I misunderstood. David says, sorry, I'm not a Bitcoin lover. And that's okay. You don't have to be a Bitcoin lover. That's a beautiful thing about investing. There's, if there's an asset you just don't like. So for example, crypto, you don't have to touch it at all. You can completely have a very successful investing, completely ignoring that sector, or if you really, really have full confidence in it, I would absolutely caution not to go 100% into crypto. I look at it as being a single asset class. So, you still want diversification. You probably still want a good exposure to stocks, but there's no real wrong way. It's just that you have to sort of weigh your risk profile, how much risk you're willing to take from a lack of diversification if you want to get too narrow. But you can completely eliminate an entire sector. So you can entire sector, or even an asset class like crypto, and you can be fully diversified in stocks and have fantastic returns. I mean, that's what this channel is about. I cover crypto more in the news because it's big time, but I don't cover it a lot in the videos per se. I mean, we're looking mostly at stocks and ETFs and things like that. Prairie says, let's see, Vic had a spouse, left me years ago, wouldn't want another. So Prairie is happy being a solo Prairie. Chad says, BTC best performing asset hands down. Paul says, my new job, they are not taking any tax off, just CPP and EI. Okay. Interesting. Now it might, yeah, it'll be a situation where you'll end up paying later if you make, depending on how much you make. Because I don't know if your position is part-time. Let's see. Chad says, drip with water to go if under 65 years old. Oh, the way to go, drip with water. Okay. Oh, that's good. Chad's grandma worked until 92. Holy banana bread. That's pretty good. Let's see. Paul says my $1 super chat. They actually split it between Google Play balance and 10 cents on your credit card. Oh my, that's funny. That's funny. Chad says I'm 87% Bitcoin. Holy cow, that's a lot of Bitcoin. But I mean, here's the thing. You can't argue with the results right now. So, and especially if everything follows the way it should be, Chad's going to make a lot of money. You can't argue with that. And always buying the dips. Whoops. All right. Mark Sanji is in the house with a hello. Hello, Mark. Good to see you. Chad says, wow, isn't that too risky? And Chad says, for who I got in early. Now, there are people who got in, like pre-pandemic people who got into Bitcoin. They're way, way, way in the green. Like imagine if your average cost base was, like under $5,000. And then you're looking at it. Imagine that. I mean, that's pretty cool. And well, look at Chad. Chad's up 150%. So not bad. Not bad at all. Paul says, new job, part-time, 16 to 24 hours per week. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm surprised they're not taking any taxes outside of your deductions. So that is surprising. All right. Now, coming up on the channel this week, we have, I can, I'm just going to bring up a page here. That's going to bring up a screen. All right. Give me 1 second here. Let us. All right. Woohoo! Here we go. And I prefer down here. All right. All right. Let's go over to Discord. Over on our Discord channel, the link, by the way, is down below. I will put the warning out once again with Discord. If anyone messages you on Discord saying they're me and asking for a friend or whatever, it's not me. I'm not doing that. Not that I don't want to. I do. I want to message all of you and say, hey, let's be friends, but I'm not going to do it. Just message me if you want to be connected over there. Feel free. But over on the server, we do have, and that was the announcement. Let's go over here to our schedule. All right. So coming up this week, we, of course, have, oh, dear. Give me a second here. I have not updated. There we go. Just going to get rid of that. Bang, done. All right. We have a video coming out on the 23rd, and I am happy to say this is one that was requested. We're going to look at the taxes involved with your accounts if you leave Canada. So if you move to another country, what taxes are you going to be paying involved with your TFSA, your RRSP? I also do RDSP. Personal accounts. So what are the taxes? What are those all about? So that's what's coming up on the next video. I am going to put this now. We also have an ETF deep dive coming out for the end of this week, so I'm going to put the voting up for that like very, very, very soon. Also for the channel members, I will be putting up basically just find out what you guys want for the channel member select. So basically, the last video of every month, the channel members tell me what to do. I have no choice. It's up to them. They give me usually the first 5 suggestions they give me. I put them up in a poll, then they vote, and then bang, I do whatever they want, providing it's finance related because everybody's seeing it. So it's not like if they put up a thing, say, build a palm tree made of Lego. I'm not going to do it, but we're definitely going to do whatever they ask. So that's coming up, and we of course do have a market close as well. If you haven't checked out our market closes, we do those on Wednesdays and sometimes Mondays or Fridays. I usually will give you guys an opportunity to earn an extra one. So on Wednesdays, I'll probably give you an opportunity to earn like maybe a Friday one. We'll have to see. I know last week JJ was in the house and he was like, hey, if I gift 2 memberships, can we have a Monday one? And it was like, sure. So we had a Monday one last week. So always fun, always fun. Love those. So that's coming up. That is coming up. All right, let's. I removed me. I meant to remove that. Whew. Yeah. Oh, I hate it when I self-delete myself. Well, that way, not the other way. Anyway, David says, I notice in the news chip stocks is drawing back a little bit. Yeah, a little bit. So it's kind of part of the whole tech correction that we have going on right now. So there's a lot of fear, uncertainty. But keep in mind, we have a NVIDIA earnings coming up fairly soon, and they have done well. And I have a feeling it is going to be a good earnings report for them, and that may very well put maybe like a shot of adrenaline for the tech sector again. So we'll have to take a look here. NVIDIA, AMD, there we go. Gopal. King a Day is up 208% on Bitcoin. Nice. Very nice, King a Day. You're doing well. Paul says, there are studies that if you started out with Bitcoin years ago, you'd have taken out a bit each year and still have way more dollar amount now than when you started. Yeah, absolutely. Sort of like that reverse DCA. Just take a little bit here and there as you're going up. Yeah, not a bad thing. It's funny. I was exposed to Bitcoin years and years and years ago. Like we're talking about when Bitcoin was, it was like just under $1. And somebody tried to talk me into investing. I was just like, no, I don't see any future in that. I think it's a scam. That's where I was at. If I had just bought like $10 worth of Bitcoin, I'd be a millionaire today. I mean, it's funny, but I probably would be a millionaire. No, but you know what? You can't. That's the thing with investing. You're always going to miss moonshots. You just can't beat yourself up about it. But this one I find just funny. I find it funny that it's just like, if I could go back in time and just hit myself in the back of the head for this one, I would, because I deserve it. I deserve it. Chad says, I'm going to DC up, so changed my buy in average. Oh, of course. Yeah. And Chad says, Solana up. I'm up 650%. Yeah, Solana has had a pretty good year. So not bad. Not bad at all. And Chad says, and what is considered moving 4 months out of the country are where the check goes to? Depends on where you're going. So one of the countries I used as an example in the video that's coming out this week is Costa Rica. With Costa Rica, you can move to Costa Rica, but once you've been there for 153 days, you basically go from being a non-resident to a tax resident. So that basically means for the first 153 days, they will not tax anything unless you make it in Costa Rica. So all your foreign stuff, your TFSA, your anything foreign, any kind of foreign income, nothing. You're paying nothing on it. Fantastic. Now, of course, some people will try to find a way. Like maybe they'll stay 152 days and then leave, come back once, basically it's 153 days, I think, if it's consecutive within a fiscal year. So you'd have to kind of leave. There's ways around it, but even then, and this is kind of thing, even like another country that has better income tax, even if you end up becoming a tax resident and end up paying a little more tax on some things that you would pay than what you pay up in Canada. So let's say, for example, if all of your gains was taxed in your TFSA, that may still be a cheaper bet than being in Canada and paying an incredible, a huge amount of income tax on everything you make and everything else. So yeah, there's a lot of things that come into consideration, but we'll talk about that in that video. So I'm looking forward to that. David says, HYGM, I'm $600 in a 10K investment. Dividend pays well. Any thoughts on the corporation underwriting cover call? HYGW. I've never really looked at them, but it's time. We're going to do it. We're going to do it. All right. Whiteboard. Oh dear. My whiteboard is a mess, folks. That's because we had a channel member video, and we were using the whiteboard in our channel member live stream that we had, the other night. So I'm just going to, I need a button. There needs to be a button to clear this whole thing there, because there isn't. It's like, I feel like I'm spending, oh yeah, I discovered that I can actually scroll in here as well. All right, we'll scroll. There we go. That's all down below. So, all right, up here, I'm going to put this in here. So this means I'm parking it. So HYGW. There we go. HYGW. So we're gonna, I will have a look at this company, and then we'll talk about it next week. So come back here to the next Sunday and remind me about HYGW, and we'll pull it up. We'll pull it off the whiteboard, and I'll have some information for you. Because right now I don't know. I would be 100% speculation, and I don't like to speculate. So just something to keep in mind. Chad says, fiat money a scam. Oh, fiat money a scam. Printed on thin air, backed by nothing. Jersky's in the house. Hello, Jersky. Good to see you. Chad says, so 151 days, you say. Well, 152. Because at 153, that's when you're in trouble. All right. Okay, that's the same question. Let's see here. John says, if history repeats itself, we probably won't see significant movement on Bitcoin from halving for another 4 to 6 months. That could be, like, it's hard to say. It's really hard. Like, I think we're going to start to see a little bit of something in about a month. But yeah, the really big gains, you're right, John. It may not be 4 to 6 months for those, but I do think within a month, only because we get so much stuff. Like, most times when people say, it's different this time, it's not. But this time it actually is. With those Bitcoin ETFs just gobbling up Bitcoin. Right now, just the ETFs alone, they're gobbling up more Bitcoin than the miners are able to produce. So that is putting us into a real scarcity, moment. And I think that's going to be really interesting. So we'll have to see. Chad says, I stay away from covered calls because of capital depreciation. So capital depreciation or return of capital as well. Those are things that, return of capital, you can definitely, by putting it in your a registered account, so TFSA, you're safe from that. But capital depreciation is basically where the capital itself falls down. So you have to kind of look at them depending on what they are. And in some cases, if it's a company that you do like, and there is a little bit of capital depreciation on it, I'll give you a good example. If you looked at some of the Hamilton ones, like HYLD, there was a lot of, the value came down big time through the bear market. But at the same time, it's hard to say. We have to take a look and see how these are going to respond going into the bull market. But generally speaking, when you're dealing with a covered call, and actually here, I'll give you this perfect example. I have a perfect example to sort of explain what Chad is talking about. Oops, yeah, we're in here. All right. Well, not there. I want to go here. All right, so let's take a look at the BTCY. So this here is the purpose Bitcoin yield. We're going to pull it up. Now, it's only been around not that long. We're just going to pull up the 3-year. So as you can see, it was released all the way back in November of 2021, back when Bitcoin was having an all-time high. Look at the price. So the price was at $9 and what is it right here? So it hit a high of $10.04 on that first day. Then, as we all know, Bitcoin crashed big time, and you can see, so did this ETF. It got down to a low right down here of about $2.53. Now, since then, we've recovered. Bitcoin has hit brand new all-time highs, but look at this. The high is now $7. So as you can see, that capital depreciation, if we get to the $7 here, is that, look at that, that value there is just gone. So that is that capital depreciation that Chad is talking about. And that does happen with a lot of covered call ETFs. So this one here is just one that you can absolutely see it. So what does that mean? So for me, when I am playing this, and I currently have it in the challenge, I'll play it while it's high. And if there's a significant, looks like there's going to be a significant downturn, or we're moving into, for example, a crypto winter, I'm out of there. Like that's what happened. I had this up in here. I was out about here. I got out about here. So, you know, and to me, that's fine. And then I will buy back in. I bought back in, you know, down in here for the challenge and have ridden that up. But yeah, so I always look at covered calls myself personally as a situational thing. So sort of know how they're going to happen, know what's going to happen with them, and I will play it that way. But now some people, like, so for example, when you talk about that retirement portfolio, that one that you just want the income, you may not care if the price is going down. You'll care though if you know, if it get into a situation where they cut dividends, but in some situations you may not care. It really depends on your situation. I do care personally. I mean, when I get into retirement, I'm probably not going to have, like, I probably won't have that covered call portfolio. I will probably have a more total return approach because, you know, for one, I know what I'm doing. I don't mind. I'm gonna, you know, I'm not going to sort of step back and not put a lot on that. I'm just gonna play it as is. I'm gonna have fun with it, and well, I'll probably still be doing YouTube in retirement, to be honest. You know, unless something drastically changes, but that's kind of the plan. All right, let's pull this away here. So guys, we're heading towards the end. Just get your last comments, last questions in as I get caught up here. All right. John says maybe the new ETFs will help speed that up. We'll have to look. I always say, you know, that's the thing. A lot of the cover call ETFs too are very young. So you can't really see them, you know, you don't have a lot of history to make judgments on. But when you look at something like what we just looked at with BTCY, you can see what Chad is saying. You can see exactly what he's saying there. Let's see, NID Gooder ETF VFY VDY. Jersky says, why is Bitcoin miners like Hive down with Bitcoin up high? Well, part of it is you got to realize too, when we hit the Bitcoin, so when we hit the halving, all of a sudden they're making half of the amount of Bitcoin. So it's like almost like you've cut the revenue in half. I mean, basically, so they need to wait. So they're going to be like, Bitcoin miners are going to be sort of struggling a little bit right now until that price starts to, you know, to parabolic. Some of them will quit. And when that happens, so if you had, let's say, for example, let's say a lot of Bitcoin miners stop doing it. Well, the algorithm, it is built within the algorithm that it will actually adjust a little bit, making it a little bit easier for some of the remaining. So basically just to keep everything moving, but it does reach an equilibrium and it's fine. Just keep in mind, right now is a time, well, to DCA into the miners, yeah, like, you know, like hot 8, I think will be fine, but you're not going to probably make a lot of gains in the miners for the next, well, I think for the next month at least. It could even be longer. So maybe 4 to 6 months, as John was saying. So we'll have to see. Yeah. Chad doesn't like Hive. Let's see here. But Bitcoin going up to 3.125 block reward. Stay away from miners. Just hold BTC. Yeah, exactly. Or if you're, if you want to make a play on the miners, like let's say you're not comfortable holding BTC, I would say hold an ETF. But if you want to go with the miners, just sort of look at it as doing a sort of a DCA type situation and waiting. Let's see. Retirement portfolio is my goal. Very good. But keep in mind, there's many different retirement type portfolios. So you may want that. You may want that high income one, or you may want a total return. And what I should do a video just sort of contrasting the two. That would actually be really good. I like that idea. All right. It will happen. It will happen. Not tomorrow, but it's on my list. I like that idea a lot. Chad says, be like gold, silver, better hold the physical assets than paper. And can anyone tell me how much gold is out there after 5,000 years? Well, the amount of gold on Earth, for the most part, is a fixed amount. For the most part, you can have like a meteor come that has the little particles of gold in it. That can happen. But yeah, the amount of gold on Earth is absolutely fixed. So in a sense, there is good correlation between gold and Bitcoin that way. So just something to keep in mind, because keep in mind, heavy elements like gold. So just to give you an idea. So you take the sun. Now we're going on a tangent. So the sun produces, hydrogen, helium. You might get a couple more heavier elements in the sun, but you need basically supernova. So much bigger sun than ours, and it will produce, of course, it will still the hydrogen, helium, but it will start producing things like carbon, and it will start getting more and more complex because you need that extra gravity, the extra pressure to make heavier elements. But you don't make gold. You don't make the very heavy elements. What ends up happening is when you get this thing called a hypernova, or when you have two remnants of supernovas that collide, those explosions, those hypernova explosions, they are the ones that produce all the heavy stuff. So the gold, the plutonium, the uranium, all that fun stuff. So it's kind of interesting. So it is kind of rare to a certain extent. But anyway, I'm just going off on a tangent. Don't mind me. Hope they just mine more BTC, only be 21. Yeah, 21 million is it. All right. If you want to hold ETFs by China's, they pay in kind. Gold equals the energy spent to mine it, of course. And there you go. And BTC equals the energy set to the price. There we go. All right, everybody. Holy banana bread. 2 hours and 7 minutes. This was a long one. But, hey, it was a good ride. It was fun. You guys were as awesome as always. You guys absolutely rock. I love this community. So we'll be back here. Like I said, we got a market close on Wednesday. We'll be back here for that. And we'll be back here again next week. We'll do this all over again. Have some more fun. We may not have a Starbucks story, but who knows? We'll see. Until then, everybody, take care, and we will see you again. Hold on. I was about to say that, but we just got Mr. Math came in and gifted a membership, and Prairie Investor won. Thank you, Mr. Math. You are awesome. Enjoy your membership, Prairie. That's awesome. That's awesome. All right, we'll end on Enid, who says, "Thanks, guys. Bye." And a quick thank you to Mr. Math. Everybody loves Mr. Math, even if it is the old cartoon Mr. Math. So we're off, everybody. There we go. We're off this time for sure. Take care, everybody. It's been fun. We'll see you guys again next time. Bye, everybody.